The Ministry of Information said that the Arab League Council's decision came within the framework of targeting Syria and the continuity of the psychological and media terrorism sponsored by some states to conceal the reality of what is taking place in Syria. The statement released by the ministry said that the decision came to serve the instigation campaign led by the misleading channels to influence the steadfastness of the Syrian people. The statement affirmed that some Gulf states known for supporting terrorists with funds and weapons to kill Syrian people are working for concealing the truth in service of Western and US agendas that aim to divide the region. The ministry stressed that the decision is considered an attack against the freedom of press that comes within the framework of the US sanctions against Syrian national media. It also runs contrary to all laws and vocational conventions. The ministry concluded that such decision would not affect Syrian media's determination to disclose the role played by some Arab states in supporting the terrorist groups in Syria. The National Information Council denounced the decision taken by the Arab Foreign Ministers' Council, which asked the administrations of Arabsat and Nilesat to halt the transmission of the Syrian satellite channels. The Information Council considered the decision as a flagrant interference in Syria's internal affairs and an unprecedented attack against the freedom of press in the Arab homeland. In a statement, the Council considered the Arab Foreign Minister's decision as a media terrorism directed against the Syrian people. The Council called on the administrations of both Arabsat and Nilesat to commit to the contracts signed with Syria, demanding them not to turn into a political tool used by some Arab governments to target Syria and its people. The Syrian Observatory for the Victims of Violence and Terrorism denounced the Arab Foreign Ministers' Council's decisions on asking the UN Security Council to change the Syrian file into the 7th chapter and asking the Arabsat and Nilesat administrations to halt the transmission of Syrian satellite channels. In a statement, the observatory said that such decision runs contrary to human rights and the freedom of expression. The statement said that the Arab League's request from the UN Security Council to issue a resolution against Syria under the 7th chapter reveals the grave role played by Qatar and Saudi Arabia and their involvement in the bloodshed of the Syrian people. The Alba Group released a statement condemning the resolution of the UNHRC as reflecting the desires to interfere in Syria's internal affairs. The group said that it values the Syrian government's steps in responding to the legitimate demands of the people and the programs of reforms, as well as its willingness to implement the peace plan of Kofi Annan. The UN observers continued their tours in various Syrian cities by visiting several areas in Daraa countryside, especially the villages of Al Yaduda and Mzayrib. The observers were briefed on the situation in the two villages, particularly the acts committed by the armed terrorist groups. The observers also visited Arbin and Qara in Damascus countryside and met citizens who spoke about their suffering from the crimes committed by terrorists, targeting their lives and properties. Terrorist organizations and Al-Mustaqbal bloc militias have escalated tension in the Lebanese city of Tripoli with the aim of destabilizing the situation and creating sedition in service of some agendas that target Lebanon and the region. Ongoing confrontations have led to the killing of 8 people and the injury of 30 others. Gunfire was heard in the streets of Tripoli as armed groups blocked several roads. Some schools were closed as a result. Meanwhile, the Lebanese army is situated in places where tension prevails to preserve security. Earlier, Lebanese army personnel were killed and wounded by the gunfire of terrorists during clashes in the past several weeks.